Welcome to the deep dive where we try to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights that really matter. Today we're diving into a topic that, well, maybe at first glance might seem a bit unexpected. We're exploring how an ancient ethical and spiritual framework can, profoundly reshape modern project management, really elevate our work far beyond just spreadsheets and deadlines. We're talking about a truly fascinating book, Project Management in Islam: Principles, Practices, and Applications. Into AHMED Mustapha's. When you look at his background, you immediately see why he's the perfect person to write this. It's pretty amazing. I mean, imagine a highly qualified project manager. He's not only PMP certified, but also holds a PhD, and get this, over 26 years of international consulting experience. He's worked in judicial reform across something like 20 countries. His expertise isn't just one thing. It spans judicial ethics, Islamic Sharia law, criminal psychology, even AI and strategic planning. So this isn't just theory, right? He's actually lived and breathed the challenges of organizing really intricate projects in these high-stakes environments.
Exactly. It's precisely that blend, isn't it? The rigorous modern project management credentials like the PMP, combined with this deep understanding of a, 14th-century-old ethical framework.
Yeah.
That's what makes his work so powerful.
Yeah.
He views every task, every single project as an amanah.
Amanah, right?
Yes, it's an Arabic term. It signifies a profound trust, a responsibility placed upon you as an individual. So it shifts the focus. It's not just about getting a job done, it's about fulfilling a sacred trust.
That really is a huge shift in perspective. Okay, so our mission today then is to really pull out the most impactful insights from his work. We want to help you understand how integrating these principles can guide management, leadership, governance, basically bring a new level of purpose, maybe even meaning to any endeavor you undertake.
And that applies whether you're Muslim or not. These are really foundational ethical ideas.
Absolutely. So the book kicks off by challenging what it calls the naive optimism of spreadsheets. We often think success is just hitting the numbers, hitting the deadlines, right? What, from this perspective, is often overlooked when we just focus purely on those metrics?
Well, precisely that. The author argues that what's often missing is let's say, a robust ethical bedrock, a framework that stops projects from becoming just superficial or purely transactional. Islam provides this. It emphasizes ethical purpose and professional achievement as deeply intertwined. They aren't separate things.
Okay.
It offers this moral foundation built on core principles like accountability, justice, consultation, which is known as shura, and importantly, pure intention or niyyah. And these principles, they really guide every single aspect, from the very beginning, the conception, right through to completion.
A sacred trust, pure intention. I mean, those concepts alone sound like they completely changed the game.
Yeah.
Now, it's easy to think project management is some, recent corporate invention. But the book argues it's actually an ancient human need. I'm curious, what does ancient look like from this Islamic perspective? Are there surprising historical parallels to modern PM?
Oh, absolutely. It was fascinating. The early Muslim community, especially under the leadership of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exemplified incredibly organized and ethical project work. Take the Hijra, for instance, the migration from Mecca to Medina.
Right.
It wasn't just a spontaneous act of faith, not at all. It was meticulously planned. You can actually see elements of modern project planning in it. Things like security protocols, logistics, stakeholder engagement, like securing allies in Medina beforehand, and really careful risk evaluation.
Yeah.
Using obscured routes, employing trustworthy guides.
Wow. So real risk management.
Definitely. Or consider the construction of Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, the Prophet's mosque in Medina. That was a clear project. It had a defined scope, intense collaboration, resource allocation.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Prophet himself participated in carrying bricks.
No kidding.
Yeah. And the result? It had enduring social and spiritual significance. So these historical examples, they really embody concepts we still talk about today.
So niyyah, the intention, becomes like the spiritual compass for every project, almost an ancient form of initiation and scope definition.
Exactly. Setting the right why.
And tawakkul, that idea of reliance on God after you've made every possible effort, that offers a really unique lens on risk management, doesn't it? I mean, you mentioned decoys and secret routes during the Hijra. That's serious planning.
It absolutely is. Risk management wasn't about just closing your eyes and hoping for the best. It was meticulous preparation combined with this underlying trust that your best efforts, guided by that ethical purpose, would ultimately yield results.
This really highlights a fascinating challenge for professionals today, doesn't it? Especially for those trying to navigate global standards like PMP, while also upholding deeply held personal values. How does the book suggest we bridge that potential gap?
That's a key point. It talks about the dual obligations of, say, contemporary Muslim professionals. On one hand, they absolutely must be fluent in the globally acknowledged professional language, PMP methodologies, performance metrics, deliverables, all that.
The standard toolkit.
The standard toolkit, yes. But on the other hand, they are equally responsible for the moral integrity of their work. The book argues quite powerfully that a project might hit all its technical targets on time, on budget, looks great on paper, but if it's built on exploitation, or maybe usurious financing, or deceit, well, in Islamic terms, it's considered a profound failure.
That's a really strong distinction.
It is. So this deep dive, it really shows how Islam doesn't replace, but enhances project management. It provides that essential ethical layer.
It's not just about what you achieve, but how you achieve it and why. Okay, let's get into some specifics then. What are some of these core Islamic ethical principles, and how do they translate directly into, say, a project manager's day-to-day actions?
Well, what's really insightful is how these principles offer a kind of foundational blueprint for conduct that goes way beyond just ticking compliance boxes. Take honesty and transparency. In a purely secular context, yeah, it's good policy, it builds trust.
Sure, best practice.
Best practice. But in Islam, speaking the truth is an explicit divine command. You find it in the Quran. So it becomes part of your amanah, that trust we talked about. This elevates transparency from just a useful strategy to, well, a spiritual obligation.
Okay, that is a huge shift in mindset. It means, like you said earlier, if a construction project faces delays, telling stakeholders immediately isn't just good expectation management.
It's fulfilling a sacred duty, exactly.
Right?
And then there's integrity. This isn't just about, not committing fraud, which is obviously important. It's about consistency. Consistency between your values and your actions. Adhering to standards even when nobody's watching. Treating all parties fairly. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, constantly emphasized kindness and integrity. It demands ethical standards in all your dealings, procurement, team management, even the small stuff.
So it's about building the project with a kind of internal moral compass, not just relying on an external compliance checklist to keep you straight.
That's a great way to put it. Then you have justice. This is fundamental in Islam, really emphasized in the Quran. It urges believers to uphold justice even when it's difficult, even against oneself or one's family.
Wow.
In project terms, this translates directly to things like equitable resource distribution, fair treatment of all stakeholders, clients, team members, suppliers, the community, and having unbiased ways to resolve grievances. This fosters a much more harmonious and, frankly, productive project environment for everyone involved.
That makes sense.
Right.
And what about accountability? That's something every project manager, regardless of background, constantly grapples with. Budgets, timelines, mistakes.
Indeed, and Islam has a very clear stance. The Quran stresses that every single person is responsible for their own actions. No one bears another's burden. For project managers, this means owning your mistakes, not trying to shift blame, proposing clear solutions when things go wrong, and ensuring corrective measures are actually taken. So if a miscalculation leads to budget overruns, a responsible PM discusses it openly, takes ownership, and works transparently with stakeholders to figure out the best way forward, rather than trying to hide it or, fudge the numbers.
Right, taking responsibility.
And finally, there's social responsibility and environmental stewardship. This is huge too. Islamic teachings mandate caring for the community and its welfare. There are verses about looking after the needy and vulnerable. In projects, this means actively considering the social impact, conducting assessments, engaging with marginalized communities perhaps, making sure the benefits are shared, and also implementing eco-friendly practices. The Prophet Muhammad himself strongly advocated against wastefulness, so it's a very holistic view of a project's footprint.
It really paints a picture of project management as something much bigger than just delivering a product or service. It's about how that delivery impacts everything around it. I'm really intrigued now by how these values move beyond just individual ethics to actually shape the project management procedures and maybe even the whole organizational culture. How does that work?
It's powerful when it happens. Islamic project management strongly emphasizes shura, remember, consultation.
Consultation, right.
And consensus building. This is encouraged in the Quran. It means purposefully, actively, involving all relevant stakeholders in decision-making. Not just informing them, but consulting them. The goal is to gain diverse perspectives, catch potential problems early, and achieve genuine buy-in.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine you're launching a new internal IT system. Instead of just developing it and rolling it out, shura would mean consulting the team members who will actually use it before finalizing the design. maybe during testing.
Okay, that makes sense.
It leads to far better implementation, higher user satisfaction, because people feel heard, they feel valued, their input was considered.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it could prevent a lot of headaches down the line. Resistance to change often comes from feeling like something was imposed, right?
Exactly. But what about flexibility and adaptability? That's crucial today. Project conditions can change so rapidly, especially with global supply chains, economic shifts.
Things rarely go exactly to plan.
Almost never. Flexibility is absolutely vital, and Islamic teachings actually encourage resourcefulness and resilience in the face of challenges. When setbacks happen, project managers are guided to revise timelines, maybe reallocate resources, but also to draw strength from reminders in the Quran about seeking help and perseverance in tough situations. It's about adapting your strategies with wisdom and tenacity, trusting in a larger plan while absolutely doing your very best with the means you have.
So it's not just about scrambling to change a Gantt chart. It's also about finding a kind of inner resilience, a spiritual strength to pivot effectively.
I think that's part of it, yes. And that profoundly enhances the overall organizational culture, too. When leaders consistently model these values, integrity, fairness, accountability, consultation, maybe drawing inspiration from figures like the Prophet Muhammad, who really exemplified servant leadership, well, it sets a powerful standard for the entire team.
It creates ripples.
It absolutely does. It cultivates an environment where ethical behavior isn't just, written in a policy document somewhere, but it's genuinely fostered, expected, and maybe even rewarded. It builds deep trust and collaboration.
That sounds like a solid, long-term strategy for sustained success, not just project success. So how can organizations embed these values so they really stick, so they become part of the company's DNA beyond just one inspired leader or project?
That takes conscious effort. It involves things like comprehensive training and onboarding programs, introduce new employees, not just to the company's products, but to its core ethical principles and how they apply to their roles, including project management. Leadership modeling, as we said, is absolutely paramount. Leaders have to walk the talk.
Can't just talk the talk.
No. Leaders who actively seek input through shura, who acknowledge contributions, who transparently discuss challenges and mistakes, they foster that deep sense of trust. And then establishing robust feedback systems, maybe regular ethical audits or reflection sessions, can help ensure continuous adherence and improvement. It keeps the values alive and relevant.
Makes sense. Okay, this raises a really important practical question, though. How do these rich, 14th-century-old principles actually integrate with the modern, often quite technical project management frameworks, like the PMP knowledge areas that so many professionals live and breathe by? Does it feel like an awkward add-on, or can it be a seamless enhancement?
That really is the core of the dilemma for many practitioners, isn't it? How do you blend these?
Yeah, how does the book show this integration happening in a practical, non-clunky way?
Well, the author does a great job demonstrating how each PMP knowledge area isn't just sort of accommodated, but is actively enhanced by these principles. For instance, take scope management. In this framework, it begins with niyyah, the intention. So you're not just defining what the project will deliver, but ensuring its core objectives are ethical, that they genuinely serve society in some way, transcending just the list of deliverables.
So the why gets built in right from the start.
That's exactly. Or risk management. It combines the modern analytical tools identifying risks, assessing probability and impact with tawakkul. That trusting God after making all necessary efforts. This provides a kind of resilience and perspective when facing uncertainty, which is inherent in projects. And quality management. It goes beyond just meeting specifications or compliance standards. It introduces the concept of ihsan.
Ihsan, what's that?
Ihsan means excellence, beauty, doing things in the best possible way. It demands sincerity and diligence in your work, striving for the highest quality not just for the client, but as an act of devotion. Think back to the meticulous construction of the Prophet's mosque that embodies ihsan.
So ihsan isn't just about meeting spec. It's about doing something with an almost artistic dedication to quality because of that underlying intention, a striving for perfection.
Exactly. Striving for perfection in the service of a higher purpose. And it extends through the whole project lifecycle. Initiation starts with niyyah. Planning incorporates shura. Execution requires collaboration and tenacity again, like the Prophet carrying bricks. Monitoring involves hisbah.
Hisbah, another key term.
Yes, hisbah is a principle of active accountability and ethical oversight. Kind of like ensuring things are done properly and justly in the public sphere. Think of the Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab's legendary nocturnal inspections. He'd walk the streets at night to check on the welfare of the people and ensure fairness. That's hisbah in action.
Wow, okay. Proactive oversight.
Proactive ethical oversight. And finally, closure isn't just about signing off. It involves gratitude, reflection, and perpetual learning for the next time.
That is incredibly comprehensive. It really does seem to weave ancient wisdom right into the modern methodology. So for project managers listening right now who think, okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually apply this today?
Right.
What practical tools does the author offer? Are there templates or guides?
Yes, definitely. The book provides several key templates designed for practical application. For example, there's an Islamic project charter. This extends beyond the typical logistics and scope. It includes sections for explicitly stating the ethical and social objectives of the project. And crucially, it often includes a Sharia alignment statement.
What does that do?
It ensures that things like financing don't involve riba prohibited interest, and that suppliers meet ethical standards, aren't exploitative, for example.
Got it. A built-in ethical screen.
Exactly. There's also a Sharia-compliance checklist. This can be used to audit different phases, funding, procurement, operations against key ethical standards like fair wages, environmental considerations, truthful marketing, things like that. And for ongoing leadership development, which is key, there are leadership reflection guides. These might offer weekly questions for managers to ask themselves.
Like what kind of questions?
Questions like, did I practice shura effectively this week? Were my decisions fair to all parties? Was I transparent in my communications? Am I holding myself and my team accountable? It helps managers continually align their day-to-day actions with these deeper values.
Those sound really useful for keeping these principles top of mind. Okay, stepping back a bit, can we actually see these principles making a tangible difference in real-world scenarios today? Where are they being applied effectively?
Oh, absolutely. The book gives examples across diverse sectors. In NGOs and humanitarian work, for instance, these Islamic principles naturally drive transparency, accountability, and equitable distribution of aid. This is crucial for building and maintaining trust with both donors and the beneficiaries on the ground. Governments, too, particularly in Muslim-majority contexts, but potentially beyond, can adopt models inspired by figures like Umar ibn al-Khattab for public service projects, ensuring transparent systems, accessible leaders, and projects that genuinely serve public welfare and justice.
That makes sense for public service. What about the private sector? Businesses are always looking for an edge, or maybe just a better, more ethical way to operate.
Businesses stand to benefit significantly. By embracing ihsan, that pursuit of excellence, they can improve quality and customer satisfaction. By implementing principles of justice, they can ensure equitable employment practices, fair wages, better working conditions. This fosters healthier workplace cultures, can reduce turnover, and builds a kind of employee loyalty that goes way beyond just the paycheck.
So better business outcomes through better ethics.
Potentially, yes. And even in global secular contexts, Muslim professionals and others inspired by these ethics integrate them daily. By promoting inclusive decision-making, short in team meetings, by engaging in honest and ethical communication, by ensuring contracts are clear and fair. Often these practices don't just meet, but can actually surpass standard global requirements for ethical conduct because the motivation is deeper.
So it sounds like this isn't about creating separate siloed Islamic project management systems, but rather about enhancing current global best practices with a deeper ethical and spiritual dimension.
Precisely. It's about infusion, not separation. It ensures projects deliver value not just economically, but also socially and ethically, upholding justice and accountability for everyone touched by the project.
It really brings a profound sense of purpose back into the work, which leads to thinking about the long-term view, legacy. How can organizations ensure these values aren't just a fad, but are sustained? How do they make sure they continue to inform projects for years, maybe even generations to come?
That requires intentional cultivation. It starts, often, with a clear vision statement for the organization that explicitly reflects these core values. Maybe community well-being, environmental stewardship, justice. Setting specific, measurable ethical objectives alongside the financial and operational ones is vital. What gets measured gets managed right.
True.
Organizations can also use storytelling powerfully, sharing examples, internally and externally, of projects that succeeded both technically and ethically. This inspires teams and reinforces the values. And establishing mentorship programs is key, where experienced project managers who embody these principles can guide and impart this wisdom to newer team members. That ensures a generational transfer of this integrated knowledge. Ultimately, it's about fostering a culture of continuous improvement, always guided by these ethical teachings, ensuring adaptability and ongoing ethical alignment over the long haul. That's how you build a lasting legacy of impactful, responsible work.
What we've discussed today, it really drives home the point that Islamic project management isn't trying to be a competing system. It's presented as a powerful enhancement.
It's exactly.
While things like PMP and other methodologies provide the essential structure, the processes, the professional standards, Islam seems to introduce this foundational ethical layer, the spiritual accountability. It prevents projects from becoming just, cold technical exercises.
It brings a soul to the spreadsheet, perhaps?
Yeah, a soul to the spreadsheet. I like that. It really redefines success, doesn't it? Instead of simply asking, did we meet the deadline? Are we on budget? It invites us to consider something much more profound.
It does, and the author puts it beautifully in the book's conclusion. He says something like, ultimately, the criterion for success in Islamic project management transcends the mere completion of buildings, delivery of software, or provision of services. He continues, the project's true success is assessed by its fairness to individuals, its mitigation of harm, and its upholding of divine trust.
Fairness, mitigating harm, upholding trust.
Right. When projects adhere to those standards, their influence transcends deliverables, affecting the moral and spiritual fabric of society. Isn't that, he asks, the essence of genuine success?
Wow. That's a truly powerful thought to leave with you, the listener. This deep dive into Ahmed Ali Mustapha's work really demonstrates how these seemingly ancient yet universal ethical principles—
Things like contractual honesty, fair wages, consulting people—
Exactly, how they can be integrated into any project, really. Fostering healthier teams, more sustainable results in the long run, and maybe most importantly, a deeper sense of purpose that resonates far beyond the project's official end date. It truly feels like it elevates our work from just being a task or a job into a potentially profound act of service and responsibility. So we really hope this exploration inspires you to consider how you might apply some of these principles, regardless of your background or your professional context, how you can bring them into your own projects, your own leadership style, and maybe help cultivate a greater culture of accountability, equity, and genuine intentionality in everything you do. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.